So, Clayton, why plan in?
So there's a couple reasons why we're looking at to plan in. So first and foremost would be, I think we kind of looked at Plan F as the kind of only option there for a few years. This was years back. And then Plan G was this new thing. It was, oh, I don't know about Plan G. I write mostly Plan F. And obviously that's shifted where today the average agent is writing the majority of their plans are Plan G.
Mm-hmm.
So same idea where the guaranteed issue business and that open enrollment business, a lot of it used to flow to Plan F. We'd made those rate increases go up due to different loss ratios and the company's taking on a lot of those bad business clients. Now, with this kind of shifting into the future here where we're on Plan G now, a lot of that business now is starting to get a little muddied where a lot of that guaranteed issue business is going to that. So here's a new option in Plan N where it's mostly underwritten business or open enrollment, so that's a little bit younger of a book of business here. The second factor that plays in is the rates, which I think goes hand in hand with the Plan G being the guaranteed issue option, is now that a lot of that Plan G business is getting a little bit older on the books, it's making the loss ratios go up. Carriers at the end of the day, their business as well, they're going to shift their rates to help kind of counterbalance that.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to make sure that we're offering options. Like you all know, we always say, don't tell somebody what they do, say, hey, I've got this or I've got that. So this is a perfect scenario where currently I feel like a lot of the agents are offering Plan G and no Plan N's out there, but to be able to better explain that to the client, because it could be a good fit for them, could not be, but that's why we're here to talk about what Plan N is,
Yes.
Why it's a good option. And I think it's just that, it's a good option. I don't necessarily think this is going to be the be all end all where Plan G is going to die and we're going to shift all the Plan N.
Right.
I think that we're kind of in that middle ground now where we were with Plan F switching to Plan G. I think we're there now.
Yeah.
Of like, this is going to be something that we're looking more in the future.
For sure.
Carriers bring it up and the meetings that we have with them. First and foremost, they'll start talking about their new Plan Ns or different rates that they have on those, and they like to promote it to us.
Yeah.
So that is kind of a telling sign as well.
That's true.
Outside of that, I mean, we're looking at different rate increases. Typically, we see the Plan F rate increases going a little higher than the Plan G. And we're seeing those Plan G rate increases, annually, keep going up, keep going up. So the Plan N in business is taking quite a bit lower of those rate increases if they're even hitting anything there. So something I'm always looking at, my outreach brain and that kind of working with the product portfolio tells me to keep checking on those. So that's not going to stop and go anywhere. But now I'm looking at how can I help you all look at writing more business? How can we express that these are great options for your clients? So let's dive into the next thing, kind of get into why.
Absolutely.
Why these plans are good and how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So Plan N and Plan G are super similar. They're both going to leave behind that Part B deductible, so nothing to worry about there. Plan F being the kind of only option that people are typically writing,
right,
that would hold on to that. But where they do kind of vary is going into the excess charges. So how that works is Plan G, you're paying whatever Medicare says, you're good. Plan N says if that provider doesn't accept Medicare assignment, you're I'm trying to think of the word, you're at risk seems too harsh.
Yeah.
But you're looking at the possibility of those excess charges
Mm-hmm.
popping up. And what excess charges are they say, Medicare says, hey, this costs X amount of money. And then this doctor says, no, I charge way more than that. So excess charges they allow 15% more than what Medicare allows to charge.
Mm-hmm.
So my goofy scenario I always go back to is you're having knee surgery. Sadie, your knee is just trash. I'm sorry. We're going to have to do surgery on it. It's going to cost $100 in Medicare's eyes. The doctor says, what, $100? I charge $200
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a fancy doctor. But Medicare says, nah, you can't charge that. That's too much. You can charge 15% more than what we allow. So that doctor's office is then going to charge you $115 for that knee surgery, and you're going to be responsible for that excess of $15. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the easiest way I can break that one down. but just remember it's 15% more than what Medicare allows.
Yes. And I think one thing, kind of circling back to that phrasing where you're saying, I think saying at risk is maybe a little bit too harsh. And that's because you're not going to run into this as often as maybe most people are afraid of. And that's one reason why we really want to bring this up, is because people look at that and they say, well, those excess charges, you know, that would be,
It scares me.
that scares me. That scares for me to put my client, you know, recommend this and my client fall in that situation. Totally true. Really great heart behind it. But what we're seeing is you don't see that very often. What is it? Is it like?
So last I looked, it was 96% of doctors nationwide accept Medicare assignment. Now we're left with 4%. And half of that 4% is like psychiatrists.
Yeah.
Another factor that goes into there is they're going to be super specialized doctors. So one of the most famous options is the Mayo Clinic that doesn't accept Medicare assignment for some of their specialties. But as we all know, if someone's telling you, hey, you should probably go to the Mayo Clinic for this, it's typically not great. You're going there because they're the best of the best. One of the top hospitals in the nation, where they're going to have specialized things within specialized departments.
Yeah.
So for example, I went to Mayo Clinic. I had a type of blood cancer. They had a wing that was dedicated to blood cancer. And then in that wing, they had different branches and different hallways that was, hey, no, this focused on just that type of cancer. This one focused on this type of cancer. So that level of specialty and that kind of urgency of you need to go do this, you don't care about excess charges at that point. You're just trying to get the best care possible.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to keep in mind. If it's just a small sliver of those doctors that don't accept Medicare assignment, and I'm really happy you brought that point up, because at risk is the wrong phrasing. That's all that popped in my brain. I couldn't think of the other one.
No, yeah, for sure.
They're exposed to.
Yeah.
They're
There's a potential
Yeah.
to where they'll run into something like that.
Yeah. So that's one way they're different. Next way they would be different is the possibility of copays. So your Plan G is not going to have these kind of copays to go see the doctor, go to the ER, anything like that. But with Plan N, they are up to $20 for a doctor visit and up to $50 for an ER visit. And I like to say up to, because you might not even see that full $20 charge.
Right.
It all comes down to the accountants over at the hospital doing their coding. It could be as low as $5. You could not see a copay at all. But that is something to keep in mind. But circling back to how much cheaper these rates are versus a Plan G, you could kind of calculate out with that client of seeing if this is a good option. We were talking about, well, how many times do you go to the doctor typically? You know, oh, Terry can't hear. Can we
let us know in the Q&A box if you're having trouble with our audio, so that way we can see if it's on our end. Let's see. It seems like other people are able to hear us. Just let us know if we're continuing to have audio issues.
I might be leaning back too far. I do that sometimes. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I'll lean in a little bit here and talk a little louder. So copays. So up to $20, up to $50. You might not see that whole copay. You might see that full $20. But the rates are typically about $20 cheaper per month from a Plan G to a Plan N. So that's something to keep in mind where you're calculating out in that fact-finding portion of the appointment of figuring out how many times do you go to the doctor? Do you see any of these specialty doctors?
Yeah.
Who do you see? We kind of go through ways to check to see if they accept Medicare assignment, different stuff like that. But if the person goes to the doctor, you know, I go once a quarter, I go twice a year, that $20 saving per month versus a possibility of $20 copay is still going to be worth that for them.
Right.
It's worth going over with the client to talk through those options. Now, something I want to bring up about the kind of the price and cost as well is talked about the kind of different loss ratios on the Plan G side, and want to go into, as you remember, with the macro laws, Plan F no longer being an option. So we don't want to just say, hey, here's your Plan G, here's a few different carriers you want to go with. We're going to look through all the different options like we're talking about here today. But that's really all I've got for kind of how it works, comparing it to Plan G and the price and cost difference. Remember, it's going to be a cheaper plan, but you want to keep in mind that they are exposed to more of those copays and the Medicare assignment with those excess charges.
We have a couple questions here.
Yeah.
You might have just sort of answered this a little bit, but what does it mean by some doctors? How can we let our clients know if and when they'll have a copay?
So that's something we're going to pull up here in a little bit, is checking those excess charges on Medicare.gov. So some doctors are just not going to accept Medicare assignment.
Yeah.
And I say some doctors because it's really pretty random.
Yeah.
Some doctors' offices just don't work with that. But if they accept Medicare, they don't have to accept Medicare assignment. So those kind of don't go hand in hand the way that I wish they would, but it's Medicare. We all know there's a lot of funky things going on, but that's what we're here to kind of help kind of walk you through.
Yes.
So they can accept the Medicare assignment and accept Medicare, or they can accept Medicare, but not Medicare assignment.
Right.
Two different things, sound very similar, and I feel goofy saying them.
Sure.
But we'll kind of dive into that on the next slide. And then we had another question here, that what would a typical operation would cost, appendix or hernia, several $1,000s, which, yeah. So with that in mind, it's going to cover like the Plan G would just as well. So it's the excess charges, the extra, if you're having an operation where someone doesn't accept Medicare assignment, yeah, could not be great. That could be a lot more money, which is why we want to kind of worry about making sure, maybe a little bit healthier of a clientele. Maybe a younger person would be a good option for Plan N. Someone who is going to go to the doctor regularly or has a history of some kind of other surgery. Like myself being a cancer patient, I wouldn't want to go with a Plan N myself. I see the doctor way too often. I'm supposed to go every 3 months. I negotiate it every 6 months. We're not going to get into that. But I would spend, a lot of money just going to these different doctors, going to a different doctor to get blood work, and then I need to go to my primary care doctor. I wouldn't be a good candidate. More so, I want to just highlight that this is an option for those people. But Plan G coverage versus Plan N coverage, the only differences would be the excess charges and the copays. All the other parts, they would cover just the same as that Plan G would.
Yeah.
So what are some examples where the $20 copay would apply? Perfect question. Let's go into this next slide here because I think I can help out there.
Yes.
So super easy to do. Down checking on Medicare.gov. So I'm gonna have Sadie pull up just the Medicare.gov website, kind of show you around there real quick.
I am going to pause this and hand the mouse over to you.
Okay, perfect. So all you're gonna do, you're on Medicare.gov's website, right? Scroll down just a bit till you find these binoculars here, the Find Care Providers. So we're gonna click on this here. Wants to know my location. I allow. I'm okay with that.
We'll allow it.
So it thinks we're in Orlando. That's not right. So let's just say 65203 because that's where we are. Columbia, Missouri here. I'm going to look at doctors and clinicians. So this is like I'm checking my primary care doctor, who I'm seeing the most, my oncologist that I see the most. I want to know those perfectly. So here's kind of where you can put in a key phrase to see what kind of doctors you see the most, what you're looking at. So let's just go with general practice here. You don't have to put anything there. It's just an optional thing to keep looking into more. But so as you see, we can expand this search to say, hey, I know I'm in a rural area. I usually have to drive about half hour. Let's go ahead and search this out to 50 miles. Go ahead and apply that there. Now I was like, uh-oh, there's none. That's not a thing. All right, so within 50 miles of us here, there's 9 doctors that fit this mold. You'll see this little $sign here, and it says charges the Medicare approved amount. So this is a doctor's office that accepts Medicare assignment. This would be something you do not have to worry about excess charges with that Plan N. Now you scroll down one more option. I'm glad this popped up. This is a chiropractor office, but they may, there's a question mark, they may. So that would be something where I like this. They put the phone number on there. You could call them and ask, but it's a specialty doctor. If this was a general practice doctor, then I'm just like, okay, if I have to pay, I'm looking at this could be a 15% thing. So it's kind of where you could start calling those doctors' office or really looking into seeing if that's going to be a good option. If you're going through the list and you see may charge, then you start being like, well, let's talk about this a little bit.
Right.
Again, I still think Plan G is going to be the thing going forward for a few more years. I just see in the future this kind of shift happening.
Yeah.
Carriers are leaning that way. So kind of want to kind of go over that as well. But remember, $, you're good. No, they accept Medicare assignment. Question mark, or used to be, it would just say does not accept Medicare assignment.
Yeah.
They kind of shifted this up where it used to be a check mark. Now it's a $, or a question mark.
Yeah, and of course, if you ever want to like double check, always call the doctor just to make sure. If you have a client come in and say, I really want to see this doctor, I want to make sure. Of course, that might be common sense, but just go ahead and call them if you want to double check. But this is shown to be pretty accurate. So yeah, I think that's a super helpful tool, really fast and easy, quick way to verify if someone's going to accept that or not. And as you can see, I mean, out of all of this, there was only one question mark, and it was a chiropractor, which probably makes sense. So
one of those specialty doctors that could fall into that.
Yes.
But I'm sure if we look, we could find more chiropractors office that do accept Medicare assignment.
Yeah. Exactly.
So worth looking onto on here as well. But I saw another question come up here of use the example of $100. I use that just because I'm not great at math. So let's blow that up and say it's, $10,000. Then you're looking at $1,500 in excess charges. So yeah, the higher the surgery amount, the more risk that's kind of put in that. Or I say surgery because that's usually where I see that go into. But then that's kind of where you start looking at maybe some complementary products or things that would come into play. So like in my case, I'd be worried about, okay, well, if I have anything pop up with cancer, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I'd be a perfect candidate where I think I'm right in that time frame where I can now get on another one, where now I would be like, okay, let's get on a cancer plan. Let's do that to protect this. My plan ends now cheaper, so I can reallocate those funds instead of going with a plan G. Go with the plan N, reallocate the protection the way that I need personally.
Yeah. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's up to 15%. So it's not necessarily always going to be 15%, correct? Or is it always 15%?
So they're allowed to charge up to 15% more.
15%.
So in the $100 example, let's just say they say, no, I charge 110. Like, okay, cool. You pay $10 more versus 15. Typically, if they're not going to set Medicare assignment, I would assume, I got nothing to back me up here. I would assume if they're charging more than what Medicare allows, it's probably going to be that hit that max 15%.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Alrighty. Okay, so the next portion, let me pause this and get back to where we were going. We're about to wrap it up here. We just wanted to show you how to use the CSG quote engine or the Senior Marketing Specialist quote engine. They're the same thing. And kind of show you, let me unpause this here for you guys. We're not going to pull up the quote engine. We just have some screenshots because we want to get you guys out of here as quickly as we can. But we want to show you how you're able to quick, easy way to see the difference, compare side by side, two different plans, a plan G and a plan N, super easy. So you go to the Senior Marketing Specialist quote engine, CSG quote engine, that's all it is. Also, if you wanted to follow along, I do believe that the quote engine is down right now. I think CSG is down. So just a heads up if you try to follow along, but we have these screenshots, thankfully. But you want to go to that quote engine, and then it's going to ask you, of course, what you're going to want to log in. Then you're going to have to choose what kind of plan. Obviously, we're going to do Medicare supplement. Once you click that Medicare supplement, you have to fill out information for the quote. So the first one, you want to click plan N, of course. Right here, you can see on that first arrow. I'm pointing to the screen. You guys can't see where I'm pointing. Right here, that first arrow, you want to be able to fill out all this other jazz, non-tobacco, gender, all that stuff. Make sure to put the correct zip code, of course. Then you will click get quote. Easy peasy. Once you pull up that quote, once you pull up that list, it'll have a whole list of all the different plan options and plan in that area under all the circumstances that you put. You click the one that you want and you will highlight it and it will be green up at the top. Of course, you can compare different different plan ends if you want to, but you could also compare it to a plan G. So you'll highlight that green, and then you will go and quote for plan G as well. Do the exact same thing, click plan, plan G, all that sort of jazz. On the left side, you will have both the plan N and plan G highlighted, and then you will be able to see them side by side and have that comparison. You'll be able to see the household discounts right next, obviously the monthly rate, how much money they'll save at the end of the year, all that good stuff that comes with just the regular quote engine.
And also, I know you guys are pretty familiar with the kind of quote engines here, but if you ever need help walking through, that's something my team can help you out with all the time. Kind of just showing you really quick how to do this, how to pull this, because you can pull this in a PDF, email to the client, print it off for whatever you need.
Yes, exactly. We just kind of wanted to throw this out there just that way you guys are aware. We know you probably know how to use it. And if you don't, please call us. We want to give you a more in-depth example of how to run this. We just wanted to quickly go over it while we have you all here. But yes, as you can see, that plan G, that plan N, they're both highlighted there, and then you're able to pull up a quote comparison that looks just like this. So like I said, it has that plan G, plan N right next to each other, those monthly rates, all the information that you'd have on a quote, but you see them side by side. You're able to show this to your client and, you know, really assess at the end of the year, kind of talk the coverage, look at the numbers and see which one is the best fit for them. They might still want to go with the plan G, or they might want to save some money with a little bit of a higher risk. They might just be in that position in their life. Plan N would be a great option for
and
that.
See, I like this because you see here it's about $15 difference, and then you start calculating up how many times to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And just as a baseline, let's just add that $20 copay. That way you're overshooting, not saying, it's going to be cheap. You won't have to worry about any kind of that. I don't think you'll have to, any of those copays. Don't normally see them hit. Just go ahead and add it in. Say, okay, you go to the doctor twice a year. Let's go ahead and add $40 copay and look at that annual rate where it's going to be a lot different than $40. So that's something I liked about this kind of side-by-side quote, because you can work this with the client, show them exactly what you're looking at and exactly what you're adding up. And I always think it's a nice touch of like, you're showing them, here's the two options. Here's my hand. Here's option A. Here's option B. This is what we're looking at. Here's how this one would add up, and kind of going through that way.
Yeah. Alrighty, you guys, we have reached the end here. Like we said, we wanted to keep it short and sweet. Just kind of get your brain, you know, just have this at the top of your mind, have you be thinking about it. But let's go ahead and break into the question portion. We do already have a few here, so we'll be here for the next few minutes. Please feel free to use that Q&A box.
Love it.
But let's see, I'm trying to find the last one. Start right here. Okay, so Terry is asking, when I had an operation there, it was about 8 people helping. How do you find out if all of them are covered? Thank you.
That's a really good question. Honestly, I'm gonna have to look into that to see, you know, how that would go through, because I know like the anesthesiologist might charge something different. There could be some kind of scan person kind of going through the like a radiology part. There might be a blood work part. So yeah, that would kind of go into a few different things that we need to look into for that specific situation. I'm not honestly sure how that part would affect when they're kind of pulling in that many different doctors and stuff like that. So great question. I'll be happy to look into that for you, Terry. And then some carriers offer adjusted compensation. Yes. So a lot of the carriers, they know these rates are going to be lower. So if it was at the same percentage that you were getting paid before, your commissions would be lower. Less people would like to write this. And they want to see more of this business on there because, like I said, it's a little bit cleaner of a book of business. So they like to see the plan in. A lot of times it is adjusted to make sure your compensation goes along with those cheaper rates and gets you a little bit higher commission.
Yes.
Commission percent. Dollars usually end up being about the same.
Yes. Kyle asks a really valid question. If N is for younger, healthier clients, how is N a better value than an Advantage plan? I understand a client's network would be larger. Is that the only benefit over an Advantage?
So honestly, it comes down to the same general questions we see about, should I go with MedSup? Should I go with Medicare Advantage? As you know, well, like you said, Plan N and those Medicare supplements are going to have that larger network. That's a huge one. Now, also kind of going into effect with that too is you have to look at, okay, if you have to stay in the hospital now, how much are you paying out of pocket for that hospital cost with the Medicare Advantage plan? And then if you have a larger maximum out of pocket with those plans. So just kind of assessing the risk, I feel like honestly the same way you would with just a Med Sup versus Medicare Advantage. And then once you've made that decision of either go with the Med Advantage or go with the Med Sup, then it starts to break into that other path of, okay, here's our options, what works best.
Right.
End of the day, it's going to come down to what you think that client's going to work the best with, kind of looking at their personal situation. I don't think a blanket statement of saying I would write only plan in business if I were you going forward is true.
Yeah. Not at all. That's not what we want to say here. It's just another option. You might have a client that's like, my mom was on a Medicare Advantage and she did not like it, and I really don't want to go with that. This just gives her an option in the Medicare supplement world. And, there's lots of different scenarios, lots of different situations, lots of different preferences and stuff like that. That's a really, really solid option, or a really solid question, Kyle. And that would just be something that you'd have to work out with your client right then and there and see which one works best for them.
Yeah. And I say a younger, healthier client base could be a good fit for this, purely because typically those people wouldn't be going to the doctors often.
Yeah. We're seeing those fancy specialists that might, be.
So not necessarily going to be a bad fit when they get older. Let's just say they've been on a plan in for 15 years. Now they're pushing 80. Still not necessarily going to be something that's going to be, devastating to them, because Medicare assignment, that 15% over what Medicare allows, and those copays that aren't going to be crazy higher than what they'd pay if they just went with the plan G.
Okay, Kim is asking, I'm still confused about the excess charge. Are you saying the doctor can only charge no more than 15% if they accept Medicare and Medicare assignment, and no more?
Yes. So that's the amazing thing, is they accept Medicare. So, okay, perfect. You accept Medicare. Goes along hand in hand with that of, okay, if you don't want to accept Medicare assignment, you are only allowed to charge 15% more than what we say that you can charge. So that's a really good thing. Like I said, accepting Medicare and accepting Medicare assignment, two separate things, but with the 15%, that's just Medicare assignment. So if they accept Medicare assignment, there's going to be no excess charges. If they do not accept Medicare assignment, they're only allowed to charge 15% more than what Medicare allows.
We have a question. Let me make sure I'm on the right one. Yes, depending on the zip codes, are certain companies more competitive with Plan N versus Plan G?
Great question. So I see this a lot, actually. The Plan G landscape will look a certain way. You'll see a few carriers. Doesn't matter which age bracket you're looking at. You kind of see the same, usually 6, 7 carriers on the Plan G side. Then you switch over to Plan N. It could look completely different. That number 6, 7 position could be number 1. Really just depends on your area, but don't just instantly assume that, I write mostly, or I don't write Aetna for Plan G. They could be a very competitive option for Plan N. Same kind of goes into effect when you're looking at those Plan F clients. A lot of certain business will, like here in Missouri, I know National General is a great option for Plan F, where on Plan G, still a good option, but not like the top of the line, kind of lower premium options. So something to keep in effect, because yes, it does shuffle around quite a bit there.
What do the age notations mean at rate type, like issue age or community age?
I think I understand. So with the rate type, issue age versus community age, certain states have that, what do they call it? That's community, and there's another phrase for it, where they're charging based off of just where you are versus your age. Missouri charges by your age. So that's kind of how their rate sheet will look. And then you look at, I want to say it's Arkansas, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. I'm going to say it anyway. Arkansas does the community rating. So those rates are going to be charged based off where they live versus how old they are. So those people are all going to pay the same in that area. It comes down to Department of Insurance and how they decide, no, this is how we're charging those.
Yeah, good question. Can you show how to do the side-by-side comparison again? Yes, in 1 second. I'll show you the screenshots. I would just pull up the quote engine, but the quote engine is down right now. So I think they're doing, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know technology. So we only have these screenshots here. If you do want a more thorough walkthrough, please call us. We have people, we do that every day. We have people walk do quote engine walkthroughs every day. So you're going to want to run the quote like normal. You will highlight your plan in quote that you want.
Click on it.
Just click on it. It will highlight it green. And then you'll also run a quote for a plan G. Then click on it, highlight it green, and then it will it will have both of those selected because they were both highlighted green. It will be on the left-hand side, and then you will just click compare quotes right here, that gray button at the top. And then it will pull up a quote comparison like this. Like I said, this isn't like the greatest example of how to do it, but give us a call and we'd love to walk you through it.
And you'll see on the top right there, the PDF or the print option. So the PDF, email it to a client, save it for whenever you're pulling it up, any kind of other information that they might have sent you. Pull that up with them. You can show them this side-by-side quote. That way, if you have a couple carriers in mind that you want to offer to them, you can have everything ready to go. And you can compare those different options like this.
Yes. Okay, we have a question. I have a 70-year-old female retiring in July. She has group coverage and also Part B since 1/1/22. UHC says she can only get Plan N and not G. Is that the same with all companies?
I don't believe so. Kind of the thing with this is they can decide what plans you can go to. I want to look into that a little bit more for you there, Carol, because I think if they're saying she can only get a Plan N, not a Plan G, she might just be in a different election period. So I'll check that out. We can pull these, we have these questions saved, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on it. I'm gonna check that out for you.
Perfect. Who adjusts the commissions for Plan N?
Top of my head, Mutual of Omaha, Aetna, Central States of Omaha, which is one that I don't see a ton pop up. A few other ones like that, though. We could definitely look into your portfolio and kind of see which carriers that you have that adjust those and kind of look at those commissions with you.
Let's see. Nice job, guys. Well done. Thank you.
Thanks.
We're pretty sure we'll stick with Plan G. We appreciate the possibility that N rate renewals will be much better than G. However, if medical needs change significantly, there is probably no way they could change to a Plan G in the future. Also, if I change MDs or add a new MD, perhaps that will not accept the Medicare allowance. For $15, $20 per month, maybe not a better choice.
So keep in mind the large percentage of doctors who do accept Medicare assignment. It's 96%, I believe, is the number. Don't see that drastically dropping. So with a majority of Medicare doctors that are going to accept Medicare in general, the majority of them, a whopping majority, and almost 100% there, accept Medicare assignment. So it's really when you get into specialties, but I understand the concern. I don't want to kind of discredit that. Of that, if you're switching doctors and then you switch to somebody who doesn't accept Medicare assignment and something happens, yeah, you could be at a little bit more risk for a little bit higher premiums or higher out-of-pocket costs. So yeah, totally understand that.
Yeah.
I love that we're getting the juices flowing here though, and having these kind of questions. This is an amazing question and answer portion.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites, so I love this.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So Medicare Advantage plans restrict testing and procedures. Great New York time. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's definitely something to keep in mind too, of different things that Medicare Advantage plans allow versus Med Sup, but that's more of a Med Advantage versus Med Sup kind of comparison.
Yeah.
I know we have a great recording on our YouTube channel, so definitely check that out. Was that just recently that we did another one of those?
Yep, that was just recently. Olivia and I did a webinar over Medicare Advantage versus Med Sup. We do have that recording on our YouTube page.
So like and subscribe to that.
Yeah.
I feel like a streamer when I say that. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, but it's true.
It's true.
Let's see. Thank you.
Do we love this business? Yep. This keeps us paid. This keeps us all going. There's always uncertainty. There's a lot of questions. This is what you guys get paid to do. This is what you guys have us as your back office for, is to be able to help kind of work through these different scenarios. That's why I was saying I was getting excited about this question and answer box, because this is what they pay me to do, to answer these questions, to help kind of work through this. And then to admit when I'm not 100% sure, let's double check that. Let's get it in writing. And I'm always going to try to do that for you guys. So I love that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see, what was the next? Can you let us all know Carol's question? I've never heard that. Yes, you know what, we can go ahead and find out that answer for you and try to put it in the follow-up email, just so that way everybody kind of has the answer to that.
Definitely.
Let's see. Thank you. We have someone saying the Medicare Advantage versus Medicare supplement was a great recording. Thanks, Kim. Really glad that that helped you. We've gotten a lot of really great feedback for it from that webinar specifically. So great to have that encouragement. And then, yeah, go check that out on our YouTube page. Let's see. Sorry, we have a lot of comments, so we're kind of sorting through it. Small text. Do you know anything about the doctors that are going to have something called concierge fees?
Honestly, no.
I've never heard of that.
Let's check it out.
Let's check it out. Let's find it out. Let's put it in the follow-up email and see. I've never heard.
I'm a bit of a nerd that way.
That phrase?
Like, yep, I'll research this to figure out what's going on.
We'll research that. We haven't heard of it, but guarantee someone in the office has. So
honestly, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go ask Kendra. She'll be like, concierge fees, duh.
Someone born before 2020 can get F. Is there a good choice between that and N?
So very different. That one's going to be even more so of a big decision for them, because with Plan F, they're going to have that Part B deductible covered as well. And with that Part B deductible going up, you're going to see those rate increases on the Plan F go up as well to kind of keep matching the amount that they're having to cover with that Part B deductible. So keeping that in mind, but those plans become that much more different than an F versus a G. But yeah, so born before 2020, was it January 1st, 2020?
Yes, and it's not born before, it's eligible for. So for example, my granddad, he's 90. He's eligible for Medicare, turned 65 before 2020. My mother-in-law just turned 65 last month. She is not eligible for Plan F because she was eligible for Medicare after 2020. So it's not on birthday, it's on just when you're eligible for Medicare. Just to clarify there. Concierge Medicare, not covered by Medicare, or concierge medicine is not covered by Medicare is my understanding. We'll just have to look into that. Really great question. Obviously, if we don't know, it's something that we need to find out. Yep. So we'll figure that out. Yes. And let's see, I have someone who has catheters. He needs more. He only buys any suggestion. He has a Plan F supplement.
So it looks like that might be something that falls more, I don't know if that's a drug thing necessarily or not. I think that'd be more of a one-off. Let's talk about it. Let's figure that out. Pull in some people, pull in some resources, kind of check through that for you, Ann.
Yes, for sure. Give us a call, Ann, so that way we can have someone on our support team kind of deep dive into that and help you out a little bit. Thanks. What's your phone number? Great question. Do I have it on this slide? Let's look and see. Yes. If you want to contact us, you can reach us at 800-689-2800. We'd love to continue these conversations. We have a lot of other questions that are kind of side notes from Plan N, which we love. We love it. Please give us a call. We want to have someone help you out, kind of get more context, help you out with that stuff. Please feel free to use our website. Our website isn't just our business card. Our particular website has a plethora of resources. It's a resource all on its own. So please feel free to use that. If you want a walkthrough of our website, please call us and we can give you a walkthrough of our website. We have millions of things on there. Millions is an exaggeration, but we have a lot of good stuff on there. And then our university, sms-university.com, that is our training website. If you go to our regular website, click on the training tab, it will take you there. Lots of different videos. And then our YouTube page, lots of recordings of webinars, lots of extra content. We're rolling out with a video once a week on there. So please feel free to go and check that out. I think we got to all of the questions on here. If we missed one, really sorry. We had a lot of really good conversation today, which we absolutely love. If we missed your question, look out for that follow-up call or give us a call here at our phone number. But thank you all so much for joining us today. We love your feedback. We really appreciate your feedback. And yeah, let's continue the conversation with that email and with that follow-up call as well. So thank you so much for joining us.